So welcome to our class today, Sunday, October 13th. It's all about how to be an empath, but also how to manage your energy so that you aren't drained or tired out just by feeling so much. We're just going to wait for a few minutes as everyone joins us. I'm Abby O'Neill, and I'm teaching with Jim McCarthy. We're energy healers, and we also take trips to locations where we can feel a much higher level of energy. And we do weekend seminars and classes. So if you're interested in any of our events, please go to our website. It's www.infinitelight.me. And if you want a recording of this class, you can go to www.infinitelight.me and go to the classes section. You'll find all our recordings there. We have a YouTube channel. All you have to do is type in Infinite Light LLC or my name, Abby O'Neill, and you'll go right to it. And we have all our past classes. So if you want to go to those classes, if you just want to do a meditation from one of the classes, feel free. They're entirely accessible. So welcome, everyone. I think the world is a little chaotic at the moment, and this is a good moment to practice having boundaries and also setting an intention to hold our energy secure and safe. So we'll just wait a few moments as everyone joins us. The events we're thinking of doing in the future, we're thinking of going back to Maui as we go to some of these places that are very high frequency. One of the big advantages is to connect with a high frequency, which is sort of an accelerant or an intensification of our own spiritual progress. We had this wonderful student in Ireland last summer who said, wow, 10 years of therapy or go to a stone circle. So I think that's true, actually. The intensity of the energy can lift us to a point where we just clear so many things. And we also can focus so much on what we came to Earth to do. The trips we're planning for 2025 would be a weekend in Maui, which includes going to Haleakala, which is a very powerful energy center. We are possibly going back to Ireland in the summer. And that trip, we travel around to different stone circles, some of which are incredibly powerful. And we also enjoy Ireland and the restaurants, which, believe me, are great. Don't believe Ireland has bad food. It has great food. And we just generally are able to see a side of Ireland that most tourists are not able to see because we're going to the back roads and to these wonderful, isolated, powerful spiritual circles and settings. We also are planning a trip to the East Coast. The thought is to have Jim have a men's group and myself to have a women's group weekend. So if you're interested in any of these events, just email us. Jim will be putting on the chat our email address if you don't already have it. If you're joining us for the first time from Meetup or Eventbrite, and you feel like leaving us your email address, please do. We'll be able to connect you with our website and any future events or free classes. The other trip we're thinking about, because we just went to Sedona with a group, and that turned out to be really powerful. I think everybody that went would say, wow, kind of exceeded expectations. So I think we will be going back in the spring. So if you're interested in Sedona, again, just go to our website, sign up for our newsletter or for just to be on our mailing list. So it looks like it might be time to start our class now. Our subject today is how to be a healthy empath. The reason we chose this subject is because so many people come for private sessions with myself and with Jim, sort of maxed out from being an empath. And I'm sure most of you right now joining us are an empath. What is an empath? Well, it's somebody of a slightly higher frequency who comes in and feels what other people are feeling, usually very sensitive, creative, psychic. If you don't, some people say to me, oh, well, I'm not psychic. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, you're the most empathetic person I know. So it's hard always to judge for ourselves. Am I psychic? Am I an empath? But some of the symptoms would be that you really feel a lot, that you absorb a lot from other people, that it's a little hard for you sometimes to be in crowds. One of the other things I always find with an empath, which I'd like to talk about today, is that empaths usually come to the world with a slightly higher agenda. They feel they have to heal everybody. They feel like they have to heal everybody or listen to everybody or at least help out in some way. And if we come in with an acute sensitivity, if we can feel what everybody else is feeling, if we want to help them, if we want to try to make the world better, sometimes that's a pretty big burden. I think the most important thing about having this sensitivity is learning how to protect it. And by protect it, I don't mean like hiding under the bed, although, that can be tempting. I'd say most empaths feel a little bit too much, and there's a temptation to pull back. There's a temptation to put up defenses against intimate relationships or how far I can go in an intimate relationship. The temptation to put up barriers. The first thing I'm going to be teaching in our meditation is that the best barrier you can put up is one of light, one of divine energy. Instead of feeling a negative feeling like fear, instead of putting up the kind of defense we would usually have in our everyday life, think about putting up a defense of light so that we're sort of like a light bulb. We have a glass shell around us, but we can stream out light. Or some other image that will be helpful for you, that we're in a bubble of light, a shell of light, a cocoon of light. But whatever it is, we feel that protection. We call in the light so that we're completely insulated, so that when we go out in the world and we feel everything, and we feel everything from everyone around us, it's okay, because we've got that nice glass shell or the wall of that bubble between ourselves and the other person. The other thing I'm going to go over today in meditation and energy work is the idea that instead of trying to save people or help people by absorbing their energy, I want you to think about the idea of helping people by projecting light or projecting energy onto them. So we're going to do an exercise that, if you don't already know how to do that, that will help you understand how to do that. One thing I've noticed about empaths is that they seem to come into the world not only being very sensitive and very kind, but with almost an agenda in their heads that they have to heal everybody, that they have to be there for everybody, that they even have to rescue people. I guess it's, part of our programming when we come in. It's all great. It means we're a very loving, kind, unselfish person, but we also really need to get clear on how unselfish to be. And I'm not, being selfish when I say this. I'm just saying it's a fact. I meet so many people that I work on that are healers, energy healers, therapists, masseuses, teachers, nurses, who want to help people who are an empath. And the first thing they do is they help a little bit too much. They're around their clients all day or their students. And what they do in order to heal them or help them is they pull in their energy. They pull in anything negative. Of course, they want to heal them. They want to help them. That's going in the wrong direction if you haven't already figured that out. If we pull in somebody's energy into ourself with the idea that we're going to sort of wash it and heal them through that, unless we're really a genius, we're going to pull that negative energy in ourselves and it's just going to sit there. So I work with an awful lot of empaths, teachers, coaches, therapists, healers who are sick. A lot of people have energy diseases like chronic fatigue, Lyme's, mononucleosis, whatever you want to call it, but it's an illness where we feel very tired. And one of the reasons we might feel very tired is because very unconsciously, we've been pulling other people's energy into our body. And then secondly, we don't know what to do with it. Either we aren't flushing it out effectively enough, or we aren't even really thinking about it. So that's kind of an easy fix. I've worked with an awful lot of people who had chronic fatigue or illnesses that lasted a long time. And once they got the hang of not pulling that energy in, but simply sending light or energy out to their clients or their students, it's amazing how fast our body adjusts and heals. A lot of times empaths grew up in a family home where there was maybe dysfunction or trauma. So once again, the empath child is thinking, I've got to heal, or at least I've got to help in the family. Maybe I've got to protect my sisters and brothers. Maybe I've got to help mom. Maybe I've got to deflect some of dad's anger. A lot of empath children come in and think about it this way. It's not just to stay safe or be there for other people, but it's also to take that extra jump and rescue people, save people. Now, that can happen to a lot of us, but that's exactly where we want to pull back. We want to say to ourselves, I can be there for other people. I can give them light. I can be 24/7 listening to them, helping them, but I don't necessarily have to save them. I don't necessarily want to get into a space where I have to rescue them. We're doing that for two reasons. One is for ourselves, because if we get completely drained and we're trying to rescue everybody all the time, we're going to take a big hit. We don't want to do that. The second reason is it's not good for them either. Everybody comes to Earth, the Earth School, to learn something. A lot of times the people that we think need the most rescuing really need to help themselves. And by always jumping in and trying to help people too much, and remember, there's a line there. We all have to figure out what that line is. We actually are not of service to them because they have to do the learning. They have to do the choosing of how to be there in the world and how to help themselves. So the exercises we're going to be doing today are all about filling ourself with light, filling ourself with energy, and to see what that feels like. Now, remember, if you are someone that has clients or students, you might want to do some of these exercises right before you go into your workday. You can get it so it doesn't take very long. It could take a minute sitting in your parked car or sitting in the bathroom. But if you fill up with light and you put your light shield around you, it's going to make working with clients so much easier. And then the second part of this, we're going to learn how to send light to people. So in other words, instead of jumping out to rescue or save people or pulling them in and trying to heal them, we're actually going to get clear on how to send light to people to heal them, but not to pull that energy into ourself like a vacuum cleaner. I hope that makes sense. So if you're all ready to meditate, I want you to just get very comfortable. Close your eyes and just start some deep breathing. Just let that breath go all throughout your body. One reason we breathe is that we're focusing on our chi, our life force energy. In yoga, this is called our pranic energy, but it's the same idea. As we focus in on our energy, we jump from our left brain to our right brain. Suddenly, we're in a place of feeling. We're in a place of observing the intrinsic energy in our body, the universal energy, the divine energy. So again, let's take a deep, deep breath. Breathe all the way down to your toes. Breathe past your chest, past your belly, all the way down to your toes. And let that breath circulate. Let's do that again. And as we breathe deeply, let's pull the breath in and just hold it for a moment. Hold it in a moment of silence. Let it out when you feel like it. Let's do that again. Pull the breath way in. Hold the breath. Just let it out. One more time. Pull in a deep breath. Hold the breath. Just let it out when you feel right. Now we're going to roll our head on our neck. So much of our tension is stored in the back of our neck. We get extremely tense. So we just want to let it out. We want to roll very gently. If there's any kinks in your neck or any sore places, just go over them very gently. We're just relaxing your neck, relaxing your head, all those heavy thoughts, just let them go. Just feel that relaxation. Now let's roll your head the opposite direction. Again, just letting your head go. Feel that stretch. Feel that relaxation. Feel the relaxation going down into your shoulders. Around and around. Now, with our head up, we're going to squinch up our shoulders right under our ears. See now how tense you can be. Feel that tension right in your shoulders, your neck. Now let your shoulders drop. Let's try that again. Squeeze your shoulders so tight, so tense. All that tension. Now let them drop. Now we're going to raise our hands to the ceiling. We want to make a reach. Reach from the base of your spine, up your spine, through your shoulders, your arms, your fingers. See if you can almost touch the ceiling. Feel that reach going straight up. Now your hands come down, but very slowly and very gently, just like they're floating. Just like the air is full of snow and you can't push your way through the snow. It's as if your arms are weightless. Your hands are weightless. Your whole body is weightless. If a breeze came along, it would just blow you sideways. You would just blow because you have no weight in your body at all. You're just floating. Just completely floating. Now we're going to, if you're sitting, I want you to lean forward and go in a big circle. If you're lying down, I just want you to feel this slight movement in your hips where you're sort of moving your hips around in a circle. We're just loosening up the hips. We're loosening up the lower back. We're just gently moving these muscles in the lower back so they let go of any tension, any stress. Just going around and around in a circle. If you're lying down, just feel that movement as you shift your weight and you see the lower back start to relax. If you're seated, let's do it in the opposite direction. So once again, we're making a big circle. We're leaning to the back, leaning to the side, leaning to the front, leaning to the side. Just around and around. Stretching out the back. If there's any tense places or soreness in your back, just be very gentle. We're just doing a little stretching. Now, I want you to sit up straight if you're seated, or just lie there if you're lying down. And this isn't going to be that hard because I just want you to feel your body. Now, remember, in all of this energy work, there isn't any right answer. We're all going to feel differently. We all have to listen to our body in a very different way. Everybody's going to get different signals, different feelings, different answers. Our job is to pay attention. Our job is to just be an observer. How does our body feel right now? I want you to imagine a bright, bright light coming down through the top of your head, flooding your body. We're calling it in the name of God, Creator, Great Spirit. It's energy that's rushing down your legs, rushing down your arms, swirling around your heart. If you have a hard time with the idea of light or energy, just imagine you're standing under a waterfall and the waterfall is pelting you. Or you're standing on a hill and the wind is just blowing right through you. If you have a hard time visualizing or imagining, put your hand right now on your pulse, right at your wrist. There's energy there. There's a pulse. We can intend, we can call in our guides and our angels just by saying it in our head, nothing fancy, and say, I ask for this chi, this life force energy to fill my body. I ask to feel this energy. If you don't feel it, it's okay. We're in the midst of it right now. Our bodies run on it. It's not like it's not here. So, like I said, you can't go wrong in this work. Let's just spend a minute feeling this energy. Now I want you to imagine the energy rushing out of your heart and surrounding you. Now, this is the part that I really wanted to teach today about putting an energy field around us, because we already have an energy field. When the light hits it, it's our aura. We already have it. Now, it may be very thin if you feel very sensitive and attacked all the time. It might be pretty thick if you feel pretty confident and pretty safe. The news is you can improve it. You can heal your energy field. You can always add energy to it. So right now, I want you to expand your awareness, put your attention on your energy field. Imagine light pouring through the top of your head, and imagine light filling out your energy field. Like I said, if you have trouble with the idea of light, think of energy. It can be like champagne, effervescent, but invisible. If you really have a hard time visualizing, simply call in your guides and angels and say, I ask to strengthen my energy field. Let's do that now. I want you to think of two things. One, are you feeling the energy or are you perceiving the energy or the light? Secondly, are you feeling energy around you in your energy field? Remember, it's going to feel differently for you than anybody else. Let's take a moment and see if you're feeling anything or seeing anything. Do you feel a certain color is there? Are you feeling a certain sensation? Now, all of you are empaths. All of you are very, very sensitive. I want us now to think about what image would be helpful as we go out into the outer world. Were you just feeling some feelings? Did you see an image? For example, is it an easy image for you to see yourself as a light bulb with a glass shell as a boundary? Is it an easy image for you to see a blue ball of light around you? Again, with a shell that keeps you protected. Is there any one color that feels safer to you or that seems to come up for you? Is it simply an energy feeling like do you feel sort of light or buzzy or warm? The reason I'm asking you these questions is I want you to get in the habit of going out in the world and calling in your protection, calling in your energy field. If you really get in the habit of visualizing this energy field or connecting with it, even just verbally in your mind, any kind of stress that's caused by taking on people's emotions or feelings or thoughts is going to be drastically reduced. You're going to be able to go into meetings, family events, see clients, see students with about 3/4 of the stress gone, at least. So I want you to think now, as we're really thinking about this energy field, what image is easy for you? Is it zipping up a sleeping bag so that when it's all zipped, you're safe? Is it being in a cocoon and you can close the little door? Think about it for a moment. Is there any one color that feels safer to you? It really doesn't matter what you choose because the important thing is that you feel safe and you fill up with light and you intend to feel safe and you intend to call in your guides and angels at the beginning of your day. So let's just think about that for another minute. What works for you? Now, if you've got an image or a feeling, I really encourage you, if you don't already, do it to call that in every day. If images and feelings are hard for you, all you have to do is sit in your parked car before you go into work and say in words in your mind, I call in my guides and angels and I ask them to protect me today. That's it. You don't have to be in some trance or anything, but I'm telling you, it works. The important thing is to remember to do it. And if you're in the middle of the day and you haven't protected yourself, either you're with clients or with a difficult part of your job, and suddenly you think, oh my God, I'm so drained. Go to the bathroom or go out on the balcony or go sit in your car and do that. It can take a minute. You can even just, if you're all frazzled and you can't visualize anything, literally just say to yourself, breathe. I call in my guides and angels or whatever being, divine energy, wherever you feel the strongest energy for yourself, Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, call that in and just say, I ask to be protected and guided. Please come in and help me. It's can be very short, but it's very, very effective. Keep working with that because as an empath, the more you're protected, you can still give to other people, you can still heal other people, but you hang on to your own energy, and that's so important. Now we're going to give ourselves a little bit of extra energy. This is also something you can do in the middle of the day. I want you to imagine the last week or two, and I want you to think about the moments of happiness or joyfulness, or even just contentment that you had in the last week or so. The reason for that is because the chi in our body is always increasing with happiness, with comfort, with a feeling of safety. If you've had a terrible week, but you had one like moment where you had some ice cream, think about that moment. Think, always increase the positivity to increase your own strength in your own energy. So let's take a moment and think about some happy moments and see how they feel in your heart. Now we're going to give ourselves energy in another way. So I want you to put your hands out in front of your heart, palms up. I want you to imagine a ball of energy or a ball of light in your hands. Now, if this is hard for you, you might press your hands together and feel a little warmth there. There might even be a little friction. As you get used to the idea, you might see images or colors. It might feel warm. Your hands might feel warm. It might be heavy. It might be getting bigger or smaller. What does it feel like? Now we're going to say to ourselves, dearest God, Creator, Great Spirit, I accept this gift of love that you're giving me today. Feel the energy. Did it change any? Is it a different color? What does it feel like? I want you to place that energy right into your heart. What does that feel like? To ourselves, we say, I receive it in my heart and in my life. It goes right into our energy battery, which is our heart. Like any car battery, we want to have 100% energy. We don't want to leak it out all over the place so that we're depleted or exhausted. We want to hang on to our energy. Let's do this one more time. There's another ball of energy or light in your hands. Can you feel it or see it? Now, this energy is a gift that the universe is giving you today. It could be the answer to a certain problem. It could be a change in a relationship. It could be joy. It could be peace. It could be a new idea. It could simply be patience or courage. So, what is this gift that you've got in your hands right now? Does it have a message, a color, a feeling? We say to ourselves, Dearest God, Creator, Great Spirit, I accept this gift that you're giving me today. Very important. Accept, receive. What does that feel like? Is it the same feeling? Is it the same message? Let's put it right into your heart. Now you're accepting that gift. We say to ourselves, I receive it in my heart and in my life. If you're an empath and you've often thought about trying to save or rescue your clients, your friends, your family of origin, you probably don't have a whole lot of attention on receiving energy. But remember, to be any kind of a healer, we need to receive as much energy as we give out. We have to put ourselves first. It's not selfishness. We have to go through the world with enough energy for ourselves. So I'm hoping that in these exercises, you start to understand that energy flows. It can flow towards us. It can drain us. And by very simple maneuvers, we can make sure that we're never drained. We can still be 100% there for our family, our children, our parents, our clients, but we can also have 100% energy for ourselves. All we have to do is pay a little attention to this. It doesn't really help if we're self-sacrificing, self-denying, if we think we have to heal the whole world and ignore ourselves, because at the end of the day, we just shoot ourselves in the foot. Not to be too frank about it, but we've all been there. So now I want to show you an exercise in meditation where we can help the people around us. Maybe they're our clients, our friends, our family. Again, children, parents, whoever it is we want to help, heal, whatever, but without pulling in their energy without being like a vacuum cleaner and trying to take those problems off of them and pull them into ourselves. No, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is think about being a lighthouse or a light bulb where we are full of light and we simply send them light. It's actually way more effective. So I want you to think about, we're going to do this a couple of times with a couple of people just to sort of get the hang of it. Those of you that have been in our classes before, this will be pretty familiar, but it's always good to practice. I want you to think of a couple of people that you really would like to send healing to, help in some way. They could be a client, a friend, a family member. Take one person at the moment. Maybe there's someone you're worried about. Maybe it's somebody you would like to help. Our first step is, again, we ground ourselves in our own body. I want you to imagine that you're full of light, that light is pouring down through the top of your head. We're calling it in the name of Creator, Great Spirit, whatever word you have for the divine energy, whatever you feel comfortable with. We're calling in your guides and your angels. Again, those light beings or beings that you feel comfortable with, that are your powerful beings. Our first job is to make sure that we're filled up with energy and light. So I want you to take a moment to just feel your own energy. Now, I want you to take a look at your energy field. Since we were just working on that, can you pull your attention to your energy field? Do you feel you're encased in a nice energy envelope or energy bubble? Now I want you to imagine another bubble outside of your energy field. Kind of like how we were holding a bubble of light in front of us. So you can either hold it with your hands or just imagine it sort of hovering right in front of you. Our first job is to fill it with light. So let's imagine light or energy streaming out of your heart, maybe even coming down from above and filling this bubble with a very bright light. Again, if you have trouble visualizing, simply say, I call in my guides and angels and I ask to create this healing bubble. Even if you can't imagine a thing, all you have to do is intend it. Now, into this bubble of light, I want you to imagine the person you want to heal walking into the bubble of light or being in the bubble of light. And our first job is to simply perceive them and perceive them now in this bubble of light where they're receiving all this light. There can be cases where the person you're calling in will not go into a bubble of light by choice. Mostly they will. If they don't go in, it's up to them. But let's see if we can now just simply send light to them. See them all covered with light in this bubble. You want the light to lead the way. If you feel this person needs help with a certain physical part of their body, it's okay to intend for the light to go there. But our job is more to watch the light do its thing rather than to force anything. So again, put your attention simply on adding more light to the bubble and sending light to this person. You may perceive the light interacting with the person. The person may talk and say how they're feeling. But our intention as we communicate with all the guides and the angels and the light beings present is that this light is for this person's best and highest good. When you feel complete, I want you to imagine that this bubble of light with this person inside of it is lifting up into the sky, right into Creator, Great Spirit. We're letting this person go into their highest good, into the highest amount of light. The reason we're letting them float up into the air instead of coming into our heart is because no matter how close we are to the person, we have to leave it to the divine energy. We have to leave it to God, Goddess, universe, whatever you want to call it. We have to let go and let that person connect with this energy for their highest good. We can't do anything more than make the connection. So let that go when you're ready. That person has now gone to source, to light for even more healing. Now, coming back to ourselves, I want you to feel again in your heart. Is there a warmth there? Can you feel the energy or the light? Now I want you to see that light streaming out and to create another ball of light right in front of you. We're calling on your guides and angels, the light beings, divine energy, to help you once again send light to a second person in your life. So your first job is to see this ball of light, to see the light, to feel the light. Let's concentrate on that first. Now, the next person that you want to help or heal, imagine them walking into this bubble of light or being in the bubble of light. Our first job is to stay with the light, Keep filling it with light and just see what happens. We're calling in your guides and angels and their guides and angels to facilitate this healing of this person, to facilitate any communication you might need with this person. Your job is to stay in the light, stay in the energy. Don't try to dictate where it goes, just be with it. Do you perceive anything about this person? Is the light going to any particular place? Is there any message? Again, focus on the light. If you can't really perceive anything, make it your intention that light goes to this person and heals them. You feel complete, then again, let this bubble of light just rise up to Creator, rise up with divine energy for the best and highest good of this person. Just let it go. You feel complete. I want you to center that light back in your heart. Feel that light spread all through your body. Take a deep breath. Stretch. And when you feel ready, just open your eyes and come back to the room. We're going to have a break now. We will come back at about 5 minutes after the hour. Jim will be teaching at that time, so feel free to write in your journal, take a break, and come back at 5 minutes after the hour.
Okay, everybody back? And can everybody see and hear me okay? It's kind of hard to tell when I don't see you guys. All right, good. All right. Well, I'm sure Abby would tell me if you couldn't, but Anyway, my name is Jim McCarthy, and for those that don't know me, I've been teaching with Abby for about the last 5 or 6 years. And before that, I just taught on my own. And Abby and I met each other teaching at a school called the School of Multidimensional Healing. And I think it was in Irvine at the time. But anyway, um, I definitely have been considered an empath my whole life. And to me, the definition of empath is just someone who has more awareness of their feelings and can feel both what's going on in their environment, in the people they're connected to, in communications, such as emails, things like that. And also in their own bodies, they can feel a lot more precisely what's going on inside themselves. And, in this world, a lot of the feelings that are being broadcasted aren't the best ones. They don't feel like love and joy. So, I want to just kind of share some of my experience as kind of how I've evolved or healed and recognized being an empath more as a gift than as a punishment or as something that creates a lot of unnecessary suffering. Because the reality is it's having the ability to tune into energy and really know what's going on in the energy world. And that's a gift, because at the very least, it tells you if something's positive or negative. And, people are constantly lying to one another, but they can't lie in energy. They're constantly broadcasting their state of consciousness. If they're angry, it's being broadcast energetically. If they're depressed, it's broadcast energy. If they're full of hate, it's broadcast energy. It's broadcast energetically. And once you really get the hang of that and can tune into it without the need to fix it or defend yourself against it, then you really start to become free. And you really start realizing that you have a gift, and that gift actually protects you, and it can heal you. It can facilitate your healing. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in this class, and then go through a meditation on it as well. But for the last 3 or 4 days, I've been really getting a lot of what I would consider downloads about this class. Just a lot of, my guides will say, read this, and I'd read that, and it's okay, I get it. And it's just something that really needs to be, that people need. They have the gift already, but they need to have awareness of how to use it and how to live in this world with it without unnecessary suffering, actually recognizing it as a gift. So anyway, one of the first things I kind of wrote some notes for the class. One of the first things that came up was to talk about the keys to being an empath is to have an advanced state of awareness and of what's going on in your environment, but also, one key gifts that empaths need to know is how to rise above it. When you find yourself stuck in negativity, how do you rise above it without taking it on? And that's something that Abby covered, I think, pretty well in her class. But I'm just going to start with a couple stories, and let me see which stories I gotta say first. um, yeah, I mean, being an empath is really, as we advance spiritually, we have what they call thin skin. People say some people are thick skinned and some people are thin skinned. As you evolve spiritually, your skin gets thinner and thinner, meaning that you feel things how they are, not how, there's really not too many filters. If someone is full of anger, you know it. And that's a really cool thing if you know what to do with it. But like the other day, Abby and I were at the pool at the gym, and we'd swum laps, and we were laying there, and we were reading, and there was this lady across the pool, and she kept catching my attention, and I looked at her, and immediately I just felt all this anger. And it was kind of like a combination of anger, resentment, hate, and frustration. And I immediately just kind of like disconnected from her and said, no, I don't like that. Right. And I kind of like, just didn't want to look at her because I would immediately start to feel what she was feeling. And my guide stepped in and they said, well, don't you want to know what it's about? And I was like, eh, not really. It doesn't feel too good. And so I looked at her again, and I was kind of shown that this lady had been taught that she wasn't lovable. And she believed that she wasn't lovable. And she was really angry with herself and with God and with the world for not being loved. And so she kind of took a position of just being angry and frustrated. And it completely blocked her ability to receive love because it's a different frequency. And so she was just trying to be, quote, powerful and get what she wanted in the material world. But inside of herself, she felt completely angry and frustrated and everything else. And so as I was shown this, as I was shown like the rest of it, not just the feelings, but the mental process behind the feelings, I started to feel compassion for her because I realized that, somebody at some time had her believe that she wasn't lovable, and however that took effect, it had taken effect, and she was living a life with absolutely no love and just being really angry at the world for not receiving love. And then my guide said, if she would only decide that she wants to do things that she loves and start to choose to love other people the way they are, she would receive love and her whole life would change. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. And so then I looked at her again and I saw that she was full of anger and rage. And they said the key, and I think I might have been thinking about this empath class at the time, because they said the thing that you need discernment about is whether they're open to healing it or not. And if they're not open to healing it, just step away. And if they're open to healing it, use your tools as an empath to help them to heal it. Because it's, the truth of the matter is with this lady was that she was as lovable as everyone else, and that she was completely loved by the divine exactly the way she is, because the divine discerns what her true essence is versus what her perceptions are that she holds that aren't true. And we're not judged on what's not true about us in light. We're only judged by what is true. So that was kind of an important lesson to me, because my first connection with this person was, this feels yucky. I want to disconnect and run, right? But then, they kind of took me to a deeper level and said, don't you want to know what's causing this? And I said, yes. And then they showed me the mental process. And so as an empath, we feel things that aren't pleasant to feel sometimes. But what we have to realize is anything that we're feeling that's unpleasant is based on someone misperceiving something. because in light, everything feels good. Okay. It's all loving, it's all kind, it's all peace. It's only when the human mind is harboring perceptions that aren't true that the energy being projected isn't fun to be with or it doesn't feel pleasant. So, as an empath, you can recognize when you tune into someone, if you automatically start detecting that they're anger and full of rage or whatever, then just ask your guides for discernment. Is there anything I can do for this person, or should I just step away? Okay. Is there any message you have for this person, or should I step away? And, a lot of times people don't want to heal because they believe something so strongly that is too painful for them to look at and go into and allow healing to take place. And with that, if you try to heal them as an empath, if you try to, like Abby said in her session, if you try to take on their energy for them, you might take on their energy for them, but they're just going to keep manifesting the same energy over and over and over again. And it's best not to do that. As Abby said, it's best to send them light. And if the light's able to help them, ask it to help them. And if it's not able to help them, be okay with what happens. Just let it go. Let go of an expectation, because it's really not up to you. It's up to the person. So, I mean, that was a recent thing that I learned, kind of like as a tool that as an empath, you can use it to really become aware of, not only what energy people are projecting, but why they're projecting it. And that's kind of like, in energy, it's always a mental, emotional state that, whatever you're perceiving, you're projecting that emotion, you're projecting that energy. And so, it's, it the thing that you want to learn is to get comfortable with feeling things. And that leads me into another story. In 2010, I had this teacher who was a really cool lady. Her name was Jane. And she told me, she goes, Jim, you need to go get deep tissue massages like a couple times a week and process some stuff out of your body. And I said, okay. So I found this Japanese shiatsu massage guy. And, I don't know if anybody's had shiatsu massage, but they put their elbow in your kidneys and your liver and your lungs. And, it's very aggressive deep tissue massage. And so I went there, and at first, like, I felt like taking aspirin before I went. And, the pain was kind of unbearable, and I would breathe into it. But it was kind of like at the end of an hour, I was like, okay, that's enough. And I'd be exhausted. But I was kind of resisting feeling it all. And I did it for a couple of years. And over time, I learned to like incorporate doing Ho'oponopono, which is just staying connected to the light, and listening to blessed music, which also facilitated me to stay connected to the light. And so while he was doing his thing, I'd be like in a light bubble. And he would be like digging his elbow in there. And I'd just be like, letting everything come up and just feeling it and not judging it, and just kind of letting it come up and come out. And I didn't do a damn thing about it. There was no resistance. I didn't care what came up. I just felt it. And I just kind of went through it and experienced it. And somehow along the way that this would happen. And it went to 2 hours after a while. And after 2 hours, I'd leave there and I'd be in complete bliss. And I just felt like on top of the world. And I felt at bliss the whole time it was happening. I was just so connected to light and immersed in light that it didn't bother me at all. Even though it still felt painful, I embraced it. And there was a joy sense in me. And so one day I'm walking out of this place, and, I was feeling really excited and happy, and I felt good. And I was getting ready to go to work. And my guide said, you've learned to experience physical pain without any resistance. And I said, yeah. And I was kind of proud of myself. And they said, good, now do the same thing with emotional pain. And I said, huh? And they said, if you can do this with emotional pain, you're free. And I said, huh, I'll think about that, right? And so life kept giving me lessons. And I started to feel emotional stuff, like I'd feel pain in my body. And as I cleared it, I could feel the emotions that were stuck in it. And, like I could look at like a part of my body, and if it felt blocked, I could breathe into it and I'd feel pain at first. And then all of a sudden there'd be all these emotions that came up. And it was a lot harder for me to stay present with emotions because there was always thought processes with it. And I judged myself for having the emotions. Instead of thinking of it as, okay, this is something that needs to be healed, I thought, okay, I'm still not good enough. I'm bad, right? I need to be purified of all this stuff. And the reality is life is a process. And so the key is to learn how to allow this stuff to come up and have the tools to heal it simultaneously. And that's kind of what I want to go into. But, at first these emotions would come up and I would judge myself for it, or I would judge others for it, depending on if somebody triggered it or if it was just something I woke up with. But I would judge myself or judge others for it, and it was always bad, right? And because it didn't feel good. And so, finally I was reminded of a story. A long time ago, I studied hypnotism with a guy named Jay Dobson. And he was really brilliant. He was curing cancer like 90% of the time. He was a brilliant guy. And he was talking about pain because we were doing something on pain alleviation. And he said, imagine you ever pound nails into a piece of wood? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, imagine you're pounding nails into a piece of wood and you miss with the hammer and you hit your thumb. And I said, okay. And he says, can you imagine that would hurt? And I said, yeah, it would hurt. And he says, yeah, it would hurt. And he goes, and then you might look at it and notice you split your nail open and it's bleeding. So you wash it out with some alcohol and you put a Band-Aid on it. And then you might be more careful pounding those nails. But you've addressed the wound so it doesn't need to stay. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. What he was teaching was that once something's been addressed, there's no need for pain. Okay. But if it's not addressed, you could bleed to death without noticing it. Okay. In terms of the physical level. And so later on, I thought, well, what about with emotional pain? How does that work with emotional pain? And this goes back into being an empath because we feel both the good and the bad. And it goes back to that first sentence, it's like, the keys to being an empath is to be aware and then rise above it. Well, you're aware of the pain, you're aware of the emotions, but how do you rise above it? How do you heal it? And that's what I want to talk about. So with emotional stuff, let's say you have something going on let's start with yourself. Let's say you have something going on in your own body and it feels uncomfortable. Okay. And you might think that it's uncomfortable because something's not going right for you in the outside world. Okay. So a lot of people, they focus on changing the outside world. And then by doing and making that change, they'll feel good internally. And that's really not how it works. Okay. How it works is for you to become aware of what's going on in yourself. And that's part of just awakening this gift of being an empath and saying, okay, what am I feeling? And I do this on a regular basis because we continuously are healing. But as long as we don't judge ourselves for it and we don't resist it, it's a pleasant experience. And so my guides have been kind of teaching me this game lately, and I want to share it. A lot of times I'll wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning, and I might feel something going on in my body. And it could be, usually it's not emotional. It's usually, discomfort, tightness maybe. And what they tell me is just express what you're feeling to the divine or to us. And so I say, okay, I'm feeling tightness. And then immediately the mind wants to like make a story about it. And that's when they say, no, don't go any further, just to let us deal with it. And it's like, okay, so I'm feeling tightness. And then most of the time it just disappears. It just gets released from me. And what that is that stuff that you've repressed over your life or from past lifetimes, that's just being cleared. And all it means is that you need to experience it. And without trying to fix it, without trying to change it, just feel it, like when I was getting deep tissue massages, just feel it. Okay. And that's pretty easy, but practice that this week. Practice when you feel something to do nothing about it in the outside world, but just say, okay, I feel this, and then just allow some time and be present. Try not to engage with your mind and your thoughts. You could watch your mind and your thoughts, but don't be your mind and your thoughts. That's where the problem lies. Okay. Just maybe watch it and say, okay, like with this lady by the pool, one of the things that came up with me was one of the reasons why I immediately kind of just backed away and said, was because I've had relationships in my life where people had that same emotional pattern, and you try to make them feel loved and they do nothing but attack you. And it's a painful experience, so you just kind of realize that I don't want to engage with that, which is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with recognizing that someone's in a negative state and not pushing the button, right? It's one of the keys to relationships is when you notice your partner is in an emotional charge and you have that gift as an empath, okay, and they're maybe angry or fearful or frustrated, don't try to fix them and don't try to make them face it if they're not ready to face it. Okay. Just, like Abby said, just send them some light and allow the light to do the work. And if the light can't do the work, it means they're not open to it, but it's not your responsibility. Okay. I know a lot of times being an empath, I've had experiences to where when someone's angry and I know they're angry and I know that anger's blame was aimed at me, I'll sit there and I'll be really uncomfortable because I can feel the anger and I know it's going on, even though they're saying, oh, I'm fine. You've heard this before. I'm fine. Right. It's like, sure. Okay. But the reality is that if they're not willing to look at it, then you just let it be. Okay. But what some people do as an empath is when someone's angry and blaming them, they'll take the blame just so the person releases their emotional charge. And by taking the blame, they wear it energetically. And that's something that we don't want to do. And that's why it's important to start to make friends with the way things feel. Okay. If you can be friends with anger, and like someone could send me an email and I might sense that when they wrote that email, they had a lot of anger. Okay. And, it's like I worked with this one lady one time and I said, what do you want to work on in your session? Just send me an email. And she sent me an email and all I did was clear the anger that was in the email. Right. I mean, that was probably her healing, but there was so much anger in her email that she might not even been aware of. And I just cleared it. How did I clear it? I just called in light and I asked the light to clean and purify it. You don't do it yourself. You don't do it through your own body. You call in the divine light. And that's your gift. That's your tool as an empath. Okay. And that's what I mean by rise above it. Okay. When you're feeling something that's yucky, the way you rise above it is you connect to the divine. You connect to your guides and angels. And you ask them to help you to deal with it. And then be still and allow that energy, that light energy, to start to transmute the situation. Okay. And what you'll find is it will either transmute it without you taking any of it on, or the person won't want the light. And if you keep trying to push it on them, they'll attack you. Okay. And that just means, guess what? Find something else to do with your time, because it's not your job to fix someone that doesn't want to be fixed. Okay. And it's not your job to be an energy that's really negative and sit there to please somebody else, because it's negative because they're holding a negative state of consciousness. Okay. And, it's like the lady by the pool. The guys didn't say, go over and tell her this. They said, if she chose to do things that she loved, instead of trying to get it from the outside world, and if she chose to start to, facilitate feeling love, she would then want to share it with others, and then she would attract love from the outside world. But, there's people that are easy to love, and there's people that are hard to love. The people that are hard to love are the people that are constantly projecting negative energy. You have to be kind of advanced to be able to see that for what it is and not judge them for it, and still wish them, love and peace. Okay. But it's not your job to change their mindset. One of the key things we have in this world is free will. And if we choose light and are open to it, we will heal. Okay. So make light your best friend. Make your relationship with the light your best friend. And then use your gift as an empath to recognize when you're feeling yucky. Okay. When the energy in your environment is yucky, or when the energy in your body is yucky. Okay. And when that happens, we rise above it by calling in the divine. And we just ask the divine to take this energy out of us and to heal any thoughts or perceptions that we're holding on to that are associated with it, or expectations. Okay. It's like one of the things my guides were teaching me was that one of the things that keeps us personally in a negative state is when we have expectations that things should be different than how they are. Okay. And then we're constantly trying to make things, if things aren't the way we think they should be, instead of like realizing that there's opportunity for us to heal, we get into a negative state and hold it. Kind of like the lady by the pool, right? She wanted love, she wasn't getting it. Okay. But she had an expectation that people should love her, even though she didn't believe she was lovable. Okay. And when someone's projecting that much anger, it makes it a lot harder to love them, not easier. Okay. But, the key is here, being an empath, is to use it as an intuitive tool to recognize if you're in energy that's of light, that's of peace, that isn't causing harm, or if you're in energy that's not so good. Okay. And then you want to ask for discernment. Is there anything you want me to do here, or should I just shut the door on it? Okay. Because a lot of times, we think that we're supposed to like fix everything. And a lot of people mistakenly try to take on the energy in their environment because they don't know what to do with it, right? They don't like it. And they think if they take it on or take the blame for it and it goes away, then it's healed. That's not the case. Okay. It's healed when light comes in and heals all of the thoughts associated with it, all the memories associated with it. So we just have to invite the light in and then just trust that it knows what to do. But this week, try something just fun. Okay. If you have stuff that doesn't feel good in your body come up, instead of going into story about it, just become aware of it and just play a little game. I feel this, like I feel fear, if it's fear, and just really feel what it feels like, but don't do anything about it. And then call in your guides and angels and just say, I need help with this, and just watch what happens. But don't use your mind as a weapon to try to fix it. let the light come in and fix it, and it'll heal your mind at the same time. Okay. So let me see if there's anything else I should. The other thing to really recognize is that, when you're feeling negativity and negative energy in your environment, it's not of light, it's not of truth, it's not the person's essence. They're in the dream, they're in they're locked into their mind and the perceptions. And what they're perceiving isn't true about them, it's not true about you, it's not true about anybody. So just remember that when that happens, don't go into defense against it, right? I meditate with an avatar a lot, and sometimes she'll talk telepathically. And I asked her one time, I go, how do you deal with, with people judging you or blaming you or, projecting anger or hate or anything onto you? And she basically said, I ignore it because I know it's none of their essence. I know it's only based in human consciousness, and it isn't who they are. So I just ignore it and I send them light, and the light gives them what they need. And and that's really all we can do too. If the light guides you to say something specific, which it does, and like obviously in sessions with people, it'll be like, okay, is it okay to release this now? It'll ask, is it okay to release this emotion now? Sure. People are like, no, I want to hang on to my hate. No, I'll let go of it. And then they let go of it. They're like, wow, I feel better. Right. And so one of the things you want to recognize is when you let go of these things, also let go of any perceptions or expectations associated with it, because there's no real truth to that either. Okay. And as those perceptions and emotions and expectations get healed, you'll start thinking differently and start seeing things as they are with more love and compassion in your heart, and you're free at that point. That's when you can be an empath and be in a room where there's a lot of discord and you're at peace because you're not engaged with it. You're not believing in it. Okay. So I want to do a meditation now to kind of teach us a little bit how to separate the mind body from our essence, and really guide us through how to let the essence of who we are, that all-knowingness of who we are, to lead the way to help us heal. Okay. And you can use this at night, one thing that it's like back to that hammer metaphor about hitting your thumb with a hammer. If you keep hitting yourself with a hammer emotionally, and you keep having this cycle of anger and frustration and fear, eventually you're going to want to know what, if anything, is still active in you that needs to be healed so that it no longer hurts. Okay. And so again, that's a gift. It's not, if you can feel things sensitively, if something feels bad, it's a gift to tell you, look, it's time to reconnect to the light. And it's time to ask the light within you to help you heal this, because the light's the only healer there is. And whether it comes from someone like Abby or me or an avatar or somewhere else, it's the same source, and it knows everything about you, and it knows what truth is. And my experience has been, when perceptions are healed and transformed into truth, and when you have understanding, you'll always have peace. Emotionally, you'll always have peace. Okay. So let's do a little meditation on connecting, and just, this meditation is about really just offering things to the divine and allowing it to start to lead the way. Okay. Lead the healing. You can't heal a problem at the level of a problem, meaning that if you're angry and you're frustrated or you're afraid or you're hateful or you're this or you're that, that's where you're vibrating at. And if you try to heal from that perspective, you can't get out of that vibration in the mental realm. So your thoughts are going to be associated with it. You've got to call in a higher frequency, which is more of your essence. Okay. You're not your anger, you're not your emotions. Okay. So just call in the higher frequency and then give it space to lead the way. Okay. And that's what I'm going to try to cover in this meditation. Okay. So the first thing you want to do when you connect with the divine or your guides and angels is to make the intention. Okay. So close your eyes, take a deep breath. And you'll notice when we take a deep breath and we just focus on that, it automatically brings us into the present moment. You can't breathe in the future or in the past. You can only breathe now. And your connection with the divine only takes place in the present moment. You've got to make that connection now. Now I just want you to call in that divine light. I call it the Holy Spirit. I call in the Divine Mother. I call in all of my guides and angels. Just do likewise. And you don't need to know how they come in, but know that they will come in. When you ask for help, you get help. Maybe just sit there for a moment and feel. And maybe you can feel this light come in. You can feel this essence of pure light. And if you feel that, just welcome it. Open yourself to it. Make the connection. And recognize that this light is your essence. And this essence is love, is health, is joy, is truth, is infinite wisdom. This light is your healer. It's your true self. It's your higher self. So take some time just to open yourself to it. And ask it to start to heal you. You can just ask it, please heal me mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And to continue to heal you throughout this meditation and give you what you need for your highest good. And then just allow, be open and allow. And realize that there's nothing that you need to do. The more open you are and the more you allow it, the more profound the healing will be. And you might take note of what this light feels like. But I want you to start to recognize that this light is part of you and it's always with you. And it's all knowing, it's all loving. It only wants to heal you. It only wants to help you with any challenges you face. And as you align yourself with it, you'll naturally start to receive more and more healing. You'll naturally start releasing energy that's not of light, perceptions that aren't of light or truth. You'll start to heal memories that weren't of light. And you'll start to recognize the light as your true essence. And that it protects you too. Just let this light continue to build. Breathe it into your body. When you breathe in, breathe this light into your body. And if there's any tightness in your body, breathe it into that area. And just let it fill that area with light. And ask it to gently dissolve and transmute anything in that area that's not of light, that's not of truth. Also recognize that even if that part of you is uncomfortable, that that's just a feeling. It can't hurt you. And just try to witness it just as a feeling. And if the light needs to show you something about it, ask it to show you about it. But don't try to think about it on your own. Allow the wisdom of light to bring into your awareness what you do need to know about it. And just give the light permission. If there is any tightness in your body, to heal anything associated with it throughout all time. To release anything from there that's not of light, it's not of love, it's not of truth. And to transmute that into light. And then just give the light permission to continue to heal that part of you. even at night while you sleep. And to bring into your awareness anything that you need to be aware of regarding that part of you, even in your dreams. And then just thank the light for continuing to work on that for you. Okay, now I want you to let this light form a ball of light in front of you. And just fill up maybe even your whole room with light. It's infinite. It never runs out of energy. It has no limitation. Just fill up your room with light. And you can ask the light to clear the energy in your room for you. Clean away any old energy from old traumas. But allow the light to do the healing. And know that you don't need to know what's being healed. You just need to be the conduit to bring the light to it. Let the wisdom of the light know what needs to be healed and know how to heal it for you. As your room is being filled with light, make an even brighter ball of light right out in front of your heart. And recognize how peaceful this light is. How powerful it feels. How strong it feels. And trust that it knows exactly what's needed in any situation. And now I want you to bring in someone you're in a relationship with. Could be a family member, a boss, someone that you're not at peace with at the moment. And just call them into this light. And then you might feel if anything gets active in your body, if any emotion gets activated. If it does, just notice it. You don't have to do anything about it. It can't hurt you. Just notice it as if it's just information. And if there's any emotion that gets active in you, just turn to the light and tell the light what you feel without having to do anything about it. And allow the light to take charge. And when you look at this relationship, Notice what gets activated in you. Like if you have a certain emotion towards this person, if you have certain judgment towards this person, if you have certain expectations you're holding towards this person, that they should be different than how they are, or that what they did wasn't right or wasn't fair. Okay, that's your side of this. Okay, and I want you to recognize if you have a side to this. You know, people always ask me what's mine and what's theirs. Well, this is one of the ways you find out is you just go, okay, what do I believe about this person? What thoughts am I having about this person? What judgments am I having about this person? How do I expect them to be? And that's stuff that you can allow the light to heal within you. But first, I want you just to look at that relationship, but only look at what it brings up in you about them. And then I want you just to tell the light what you feel, what you believe, what you think, or just allow your thoughts to come up. And I want you to offer all of that to the light and ask the light to heal you and heal anything that's active in you regarding this relationship that's causing your suffering. And then just allow. Just be open and allow. You don't have to do anything else. Okay, now give your guides and angels and the light permission to continuously heal this until it's completely healed in you. To heal your thoughts, your judgment, your expectations, and all emotions and memories. Just to heal it and transmute it into light. So you can see this person with love and compassion in your heart. Ask for that. Now I want you to look at this person again and just be aware of anything they're projecting at you. Are they angry with you? Are they upset with you? Do they hate you? Are they frustrated with you? Again, you don't have to do anything about it. Just be aware. And it's okay if they are. It is what it is. Just make friends with that feeling so that it doesn't control you. If you can be at peace with someone being angry with you, you're in your power. If you reacted to it, they're in their power over you. So that's why it's important to make friends with feelings so that you can be present. And when you're present, you're in your power. So just kind of experience what they're projecting onto you with light as a filter. And ask the light to protect you. From anything that they're projecting onto you. And now you can ask the light and them, or them specifically, if they're open to receiving healing for your relationship from the light, from the divine. And just see if they're open to it. And if they're open to it, just ask the light to help heal their thoughts, their judgments, their emotions, their memories, and their expectations associated with you. And if they are, let the light fill their mind and fill their heart and fill their stomach. And their torso, their whole torso. And ask it to gently dissolve and transmute anything that's not of light in your relationship. Ask it to protect you from hurting each other in your relationship. And then just give the light permission to lead, guide, and direct this relationship. To give you both individually and collectively what you need now and in the future for your highest good. Now allow this person to go back up into the light. And again, give the light permission while you sleep at night to start making you aware of things that you may be doing without knowing that are causing you suffering or pain so that you can heal it. Or you could just ask the light to keep healing it in you and help making you, getting you aware of things in your life that no longer serve you, that you might want to let go of. But use this gift of feeling to be a wisdom that you use to determine whether something's negative and based in negative perceptions, or if something's positive. And if something's negative, bring light to it. If something's positive, bring light to it. Make the light your partner as you face challenges in life. Offer your challenges to the divine before you start them, and ask the divine, this light within you, to lead you through it and to lead, guide, direct, and protect you each and every step of the way. Now take a deep breath. And pull this light into your heart. And know that it's always there for you. And it's easy to connect to. It's a choice. And thank it for being here with you. And thank it for all the healing it gave you, knowingly or unknowingly. Thank your guides and angels. And then you can come back to the present. But bring the light with you. Carry it with you throughout your day. That's what Christ said when he said, I have hidden manna. He was talking about this light. But he had such a deep connection to it that it became part of him. And that's really how you rise above negativity. Anyway, for those that want to ask questions, I'm going to pull Abby back up, and I'll unmute whoever wants to ask questions. Just raise your little Zoom hand. Or if you have any comments you want to make on the class, please do. All right. So I'm going to pull Abby back up into the class now.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jim?
I can hear you.
Oh, great. That was very powerful. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. All right. So CJ, I got you. Wait, hang on a second. I gotta figure this out. View.
For those of you that are new to this class, and if you would like to be on our mailing list, just go to our website, www.infinitelight.me, and shoot us an email connection so that we can add you to the list if you want that. Because I noticed some new faces today. So thank you very much for joining us. And now if anyone has questions, I think Jim will figure it out
I'll figure it out.
very soon.
Yeah, you can also put them in the chat too, and we'll still answer them.
Yeah.
All right. Let me, Abby, will you check the chat?
I'm getting some great comments, but no questions yet. And again, thanks to everybody. Yeah, yes, this is recorded. So someone just asked if this is recorded. We not only will have the recording of this on our website, again, www.infinitelight.me, but we also have a YouTube channel. So if you go to the YouTube channel, you can either get it through typing in Infinite Light LLC, or just type in my name for Infinite Light, Abby O'Neill, and you'll get to our channel. This class will be posted as well as many classes from the past. They're all free. They're all available, so feel free to use that resource.
There's a message on the chat. Is it normal to cry during energy healing like this? It's very much normal, and it's just a sign that you're releasing a lot of stuff. When we do these meditations, there's a little bit that we're aware of, okay, but there's stuff going on, multi-generational, multi-lifetime. It's clearing things. The energy clears things that we never would even understand. And crying, yawning, coughing, those are all like really clear signs that you're releasing a lot.
Even falling asleep.
Falling asleep, yeah.
Yeah, because you're almost getting knocked out sometimes, so they can do some deep healing. One of the things Jim and I try to do is to call in light. I know that sounds a little vague, but we try to raise the frequency to such a height that everybody can get affected by it. That's sort of one of our invisible jobs. And that's also why we go to places of a high frequency, because it just seems to allow people to release a lot more.
Yeah. How many people actually feel the energy in the meditations? Some people do. How
I
many,
did. I did when you were
yeah.
working. Yeah, I certainly did.
How many people are pretty, it's pretty common for you to feel things when someone's in your presence, you can feel kind of what their energy state is, what their emotional state is. Yeah, a lot of yeses on that one. Good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Madison, for your comment. And thank everybody for your comments. It looks like Brandy has a question. Brandy,
Has she raised her hand?
she raised her hand. Um,
I just gotta find her.
you're the one
Oh,
who
I see
knows how to
her.
do. Okay, good.
Okay, I'm gonna ask her to unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun to chat about this stuff with people that know that are empaths. Ask to unmute. And Brandy, I can also ask you to start your video, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay. I did both.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear
Hi.
you.
That was an extremely powerful session. So many things came up for me, and I was able to receive so much unwanted. So I really wanted.
I'm so glad, Brandy. I'm so glad it came up and released.
And the thing is we're coming into a time on Earth to where a lot of stuff's coming up in a lot of people, but it's not coming up. It's coming up so they can let go of it. And really that's what it's all about. It's about, the first step to let go of something is to call the light in and say, okay, and try not to fix it with your mind. Just allow yourself to be open, allow it to release. Sometimes what I'll do, just kind of a quick thing, is if I'm feeling an emotion, I'll breathe in light, I'll breathe out the emotion. I'll breathe in light, I'll breathe out the emotion. I'll breathe in light, I'll breathe out the emotion. And it just clears. Okay. But I always give the light permission to heal any thoughts, perceptions, judgments, memories, or expectations I'm holding that's tied to the emotion. Because if we don't do that, sometimes we just keep recreating it. Okay. So
Thank you, Brandy. Did you have
yeah,
anything else you wanted to say? I guess not.
Okay.
I think she's talking now.
Are you talking, Brandy? Wait, hang on a second. All right.
Yes, I was talking, but it was not. Yeah, it was just amazing. I was filled with this gold light during the whole session. I never experienced quite that way before. Really powerful and
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Yeah,
It's
that's
neat.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Where do you live, Brandy? Oh, you're muted again. How does that keep happening? Hang on. Sorry
Sorry,
about
Brandy. Sorry.
Well, I live in Vancouver, British Columbia full time, but right now I'm in Redlands, California. I
that.
came down for healing with my chiropractor. I have some extreme issues and medical issues that no medical doctor's been able to work.
Yeah.
While I've been here, I've discovered that I have a gluten intolerance, that my spine is so way up. So I'm
Oh,
chiropractor.
yeah.
So I can't work.
Well, enjoy it. It's beautiful up there.
Oh, one
Oh,
thing, Brandy, is, oh, go ahead, Brandy.
oh, that's what I want to say.
I was going to say, because this is going to be on YouTube, feel free, anybody, to replay the meditations. Figure out when the meditation is and replay it, because especially if you're healing your physical body, just getting into the light for a little bit of a dose every few days or whatever, it can really help. And because I'm more of a medical intuitive, I can tell you that it really will heal your body. You probably already know that because you're an empath and you're probably a healer yourself, but it just is tremendously helpful. And it sounds to me like some of what was going on with you was because you're an empath, maybe it's gluten intolerance or whatever you're saying, but it's also just your energy balance. So I'm really hoping the light is starting to correct that now.
Yeah. Yeah. As an empath, one of the key things you want to learn is not to hold on to things. So if something comes up, clear it. Don't wait. Just keep clearing it and clearing it. Let the light do the heavy lifting. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's some people that are empaths and they're really good healers, they don't look like it because they carry so much stuff because they haven't learned how to not hold on to things. And I know in the past I used to hold on to things a lot just because I didn't know what to do with them. I was like, well, I don't want this. And so I would just hold it, or I would just, take something from someone that was really upset to where they didn't hurt themselves. And then I'd be stuck with it and I'd have to clear it. Okay. So, it's something you learn over time to have discernment on what you should do with someone. And by opening yourself to the light and asking your guides, give me the discernment on what to do, you'll get it. Anyway. All right. Anybody else want to share anything about their gifts as an empath? What they've experienced? Or what they experienced in the meditations? Okay, it looks like we're good.
Well,
Okay,
thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And as I've said, this will be up in a couple of days on the YouTube channel. And our next class will be the second Sunday of November.
and we don't know what it's about yet.
No, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And I'm going to be posting some classes on infinitelight.me this week, like, weekend events like we do. And if anybody wants us to do something in their area, just reach out via email and we'll start talking about, how you guys can put together an event. And our events are like, you could spend a whole weekend on what we just taught and just do massive clearing for things that people have taken on that wasn't theirs. And at the end of the weekend, they lose 100 pounds of energetic weight that they didn't need to hold on to. But sometimes when we hold on to things, we don't know how to release it anymore. We just kind of get stuck with it.
So true.
So anyway, but thank you so much for joining us and have a great rest of your weekend.
Oh, for Jill, the New Jersey area is where I am. I just want to say quickly, Jill, we are thinking of coming to the East Coast, perhaps in the time in January or February, and having a weekend seminar. So if you send us our email, your email, I'll be glad to keep you posted on that. So again, great to meet all the new people and great to see all the familiar faces. Thank you so much.
Thank you.